Olivia, why did you get into the world's most dangerous profession?
Is it really the world's most dangerous profession? Oh, goodness.
Oh, you've changed your mind now.
Maybe I will. I'll see you later. I guess I've always grown up around horses. My mum was a 3-day venter and we had horses for as long as I could remember. I didn't actually aspire to be a vet when I was growing up. I actually started my career at university doing graphic design and then pretty quickly worked out that I didn't like it and decided to do something about it. So thought I'd do something with animals, so went and tried some other degrees and got into vet science, and it's all gone from there.
Well, as a graphic designer, you make a pretty good vet by the sounds of it. You've got a fantastic practice here, but you go and travel and you see people. You must do a few thousand kilometres a year. We
do, we do a lot of kilometres a year. It's a pretty popular service because we take everything to the client and to the horse. They don't actually have to transport them. We offer those facilities as well, but it's just much more convenient if people can just ring up and you turn up on their doorstep.
Absolutely. Now you've got a beautiful young lady here.
This is Nina.
This is Nina.
Yeah, she's in for AI, which is artificial insemination. Right. So we're trying to make some babies.
Okay. Well, look, I wanted to talk about some tips for potential horse owners who want to have a horse either as a pet or as something else, be it a rescued horse or a new horse. What are some of the tips that you can give people? What are let's call it the top 10 tips for buying a horse?
Top 10 tips for buying a horse. Well, I guess probably the most important thing is actually getting the horse that's right for you. There's no point in buying a $100,000 racehorse that's the fastest in the state for your 4-year-old child to learn to ride on. There are exceptions, of course, but getting a horse that's suited for you. So for a pony clubber, getting a nice quiet horse. For someone who wants to do eventing, getting a horse with a bit of guts about it, I guess, a bit of bravado. Yeah, so that would probably be the top one, getting a horse that actually suits you.
Alrighty, well, let's talk about the environment. I guess people have got to be, first thing they need to think about getting a horse is, have they actually got room to put it? You can't put it in your average backyard.
And you can't put it in your spare bedroom either. No. So one of the biggest things for keeping a horse in a safe environment is the fencing. We see a lot of injuries from bad fencing, star pickets and ring lock and barbed wire and things like that. So having safe fencing of an adequate height, you want it at least up to about here on your horse. Sometimes you might need to use electric fencing to make bad fencing safe as a temporary fix.
Now, a lot of people are going to say, what, electric fencing?
Yeah. Electric fencing, it definitely has its place. It's good for horses that like to lean on fences and push them over, because that in itself is dangerous.
It just gives them a little nudge to say,
yeah,
move back.
That's right. And horses are really smart. They learn pretty quickly that if they lean over there, they're going to get zapped, so they don't do it. Now,
being herd animals, horses obviously like people, but they like other horses as well. Is it okay to have a horse by itself?
Look, it's less than ideal to have a horse by itself. They are herd animals. They do crave company. They can get quite stressed if they're left by themselves.
So if you're going to buy one horse, you probably should have one already, or buy two together?
Yeah, or make some arrangement for some play dates.
Play dates? Hey!
Perhaps.
This all sounds a bit kinky, all this horse stuff.
Yeah.
I imagine horses drink quite a bit of water, but how do you keep the water fresh? I mean, what's the best way to do that?
Fresh water is really important for a horse. They'll drink a lot more than you think, anywhere from 35 to 45 litres per horse per day. Wow. It's a lot of water. I mean, they're big animals. They'll drink more in summer. They'll drink more when they're exercising. They tend to drink less in winter. So having a fresh supply is important. Dams are fine. Tapped water is fine. It just needs to be in a large bin or something that holds water and it's not going to get too slimy.
Okay, fantastic. In terms of food, I mean, we often see horses grazing on grass. Is grass the ideal diet, or should you supplement it?
Grass is actually the ideal diet for horses. I mean, the horses have been around a lot longer than we've domesticated them for, and it's the most natural food for them. Horses can spend easily up to 20 hours a day grazing. If we keep them in artificial environments like stabling, it's really important that we provide them with adequate roughage, because they really need that bulk to go through their gastrointestinal system. It's a big cause of colic is inadequate roughage for a horse.
There are commercial foods available for horses. I guess if you can afford it, is it a benefit to actually supplement with commercial foods?
Yes, it can be. It depends on the horse and its requirements. I mean, roughage is the basic requirement of a horse, and any horse owner or feed company will tell you that.
Yeah.
But the commercial feeds do have some benefit in specific situations, with giving them a complete diet balance, with their vitamins and minerals and things like that. Some horses, depending on what stage of their life cycle they are, I guess, or what their calorie requirements are for heavy work, will be different. So a lactating mare will have obviously a very different energy requirement to an overweight horse that's on a diet. Vet
visits, how many times a year?
1 to 2 times a year, I think, is ideal. Horses age a lot in human years, age a lot more quickly than we do. We have a particular passion for veterinary equine dentistry, so that's showing your teeth there. Dental visits are the ideal time to get your horse actually checked out and get your horse's health checked in a non-stressful, non-emergency situation. There's no point doing it when they've got a cut leg or they've got colic, but if we can have a look at them when they're quiet and everybody's relaxed and we're not rushed, it's a great time to pick up those little things that horse owners might not necessarily have noticed, or might think that it's a very small problem and doesn't necessarily warrant a visit. Well, the most common disease of horses is periodontal disease, so disease of the tooth and the gums and the area surrounding those. It affects 60% of horses over the age of 15 years of age. It's pretty widespread. The core vaccines, of course, your tetanus vaccine. The tetanus lives in the soil, so any foot abscess or cut or wound in a horse, they can potentially get tetanus, and it's one, very expensive to treat, and two, almost always fatal. It'd be a horrible way to die and very easily prevented. You do have various other vaccines. You've got strangles vaccines, the strangles vaccination. That's recommended for horses in agistment or group situations because it is highly contagious. You've got your Hendra virus vaccine, which is to protect the people against catching Hendra virus from horses. And then you've got some other less often used ones like equine herpes virus and equine salmonella vaccine.
Wow.
Worming, deworming, so horses being grazing animals and they deposit their manure near where they eat, get quite prone to intestinal parasites. So your worming regime will depend on a lot of factors. Some people can worm every 6 to 8 weeks. Some horses will monitor the need to deworm their horses by using fecal egg counts. So there's a variety of ways to work that out.
They seem to take up an awful lot of time, horses.
They do.
You were talking earlier and you're saying you've got to sort of look them over daily, check, see that everything's okay. Yeah, an awful lot of time and an awful lot of money. They say poverty is owning a horse. No, I was going to say you must be very wealthy. I've got my yacht over there. Foot care for horses is really important. The saying is no hoof, no horse. So you should have a farrier or trimmer pay attention to their feet around about every 6 to 8 weeks. Quite often we run into situations where horses are injured or need veterinary care and the owners don't have any money to pay for it. So I guess number one, setting yourself up for success, that if you are taking on the responsibility of a horse, make sure that you have either the means or the ability to take care of it if something should go wrong. We're seeing a dramatic increase in the amount of horse insurance that people are taking up these days. I mean, we insure our house and our cars and our income and our life. Our pet shouldn't be any different.